Have you ever wondered how the feud between Iran and Israel, two significant players in the Middle East, came into being? Let's journey back to a pivotal moment in history, the year 1979. It was a year that witnessed the Islamic Revolution in Iran, a seismic event that reshaped the country's political landscape and set the stage for future conflicts. The revolution brought with it a new government, one that viewed Israel not as a fellow nation, Tumar, but as a colonial power and an enemy of Islam. This perception led to a complete breakdown in diplomatic relations between the two countries. Where there had once been dialogue, there was now only silence and animosity. The new Iranian regime's foreign policy towards Israel had shifted dramatically, sparking a flame that would continue to burn for decades. This shift in power and ideology in Iran set the stage for the long-standing conflict that we witness today. The conflict is not just about politics, but deeply rooted ideological differences. This becomes evident when we consider Iran's support for groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. These organizations, fundamentally opposed to Israel's existence, have received substantial backing from Iran. This support is not simply financial or diplomatic, but often extends to military aid and strategic advice. Conversely, Israel perceives Iran's nuclear program as a clear and present danger. The prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran is viewed as an existential threat by Israel, leading to preemptive strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. This has further escalated tensions between the two nations. In essence, these ideological differences have created an environment of mutual suspicion and hostility. Each side views the other's actions as aggressive and threatening, reinforcing their own fears and justifying their retaliatory measures. These ideological differences have fueled the conflict and led to a cycle of fear and retaliation. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has played a significant role in shaping the relationship between Iran and Israel. This conflict, marked by decades of turmoil, has been viewed through a particular lens in Iran. Many Iranians perceive Israel's treatment of Palestinians as a form of occupation and oppression, fueling the existing anti-Israel sentiment. This perspective has been instrumental in Iran's stance on Israel and its alignment with groups opposing Israel. It has also influenced Iran's foreign policy, shaping its interactions with other nations. The regional chessboard is not just about Iran and Israel, though. Other powers, such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, have joined the game, primarily due to their perception of Iran as a threat to their security. This has led to a complex web of alliances and rivalries, each adding to the tension and shaping the landscape of the Middle East. The geopolitical dynamics of the region have added layers of complexity to the already intricate Iran-Israel conflict. The conflict between Iran and Israel often takes the form of proxy wars. Both nations, entrenched in their ideological and geopolitical differences, extend their conflict through support of different factions in regional conflicts. This strategy allows them to continue their fight without direct confrontation, a chess match played on a board spanning the entire Middle East. A clear example of this is the war in Syria. Iran has thrown its support behind the Assad regime, providing military assistance, whilst Israel has often been linked to various rebel factions. Both sides are using Syria as a battleground, a means to further their own interests and ideologies without directly going to war with each other. This strategy, while avoiding direct confrontation, only serves to escalate tensions between the two nations. It fuels the fire of conflict, turning regional disputes into larger geopolitical struggles. These proxy wars have become a battleground for Iran and Israel, further escalating the overall conflict. The Iran-Israel conflict doesn't just affect these two nations. It has significant implications for the stability of the Middle East. The tension between these two countries is like a simmering volcano, ready to erupt and spread its fiery wrath far and wide. Let's consider the potential of this conflict to escalate into a larger regional war. If the geopolitical chessboard wasn't complicated enough, there's the possibility of other powers being drawn into the fray. The United States and Russia, for instance, have vested interests in the region and could become directly involved should the conflict intensify. The US, with its long-standing alliance with Israel, and Russia, with its strategic ties to Iran, could find themselves on opposing sides of the conflict. This could lead to a dangerous escalation, transforming a regional dispute into a global conflagration. But it's not just about these superpowers. Other regional players, like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Turkey, have their stakes in the game as well. The potential for a wider war in the Middle East also raises the specter of humanitarian crises. Increased military action could lead to civilian casualties, displacement, and a surge in refugees. As we've seen in the past, such crises rarely stay contained within national borders and could destabilize neighboring countries and beyond. The economic repercussions cannot be ignored either. The Middle East is a vital artery for the world's oil supply. Any disruption due to conflict could send shockwaves through global markets, leading to increased oil prices and economic uncertainty. Moreover, the conflict's ripple effects could impact the fight against terrorism. Both Iran and Israel have been key players in combating various extremist groups. An escalation in their conflict could divert resources and attention from this fight, potentially giving these groups a chance to regroup and strengthen. In conclusion, the Iran-Israel conflict is not just a bilateral issue. Its implications extend well beyond the borders of these two nations, affecting regional stability and potentially pulling in global powers. The ripple effects of the Iran-Israel conflict are far-reaching, impacting the stability of the entire Middle East. The Iran-Israel conflict is a complex issue, deeply rooted in history, ideology, and geopolitical dynamics. We've journeyed back to the 1979 Islamic Revolution, which marked the inception of this intense discord, and traced the ideological differences that continue to fuel hostility. Iran's support for groups dedicated to the destruction of Israel and Israel's apprehensions about Iran's nuclear ambitions have significantly contributed to this tension. We've navigated the geopolitical chessboard, where the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has influenced Iran-Israel relations, and recent developments have escalated these tensions. The conflict has even reached beyond these nations, pulling in regional powers and manifesting in proxy wars, such as the war in Syria. The implications of this conflict for the Middle East are profound, with the potential to destabilize the region further. While a resolution may seem distant, understanding the conflict is the first step towards fostering dialogue and working towards a more peaceful world.